Alright, what up YouTube? It's the Night Saint here back with another video. And this video is gonna be about telling people or just being able to seeking inner freedom. Me personally, I think we just live in a society nowadays where people are always just constantly seeking like outward validation, it's outward expression. And I don't think nothing is like wrong with it inherently, but I think that in many regards, people are trying to find a way to liberate themselves internally, outwardly. And that's why, like I said, of course I'm gonna use myself as an example. In many ways, I'm skipping over something big, but in many ways, I tried to, in my younger years, I was always never really bonded myself by anything. I was always just out. I wasn't making any commitments, whether it was relationship wise or just like, career wise or just dealing with people, period. I just refused to make any commitments and just having to deal with people because that was my way of, staying untouched or just unhurt or just allowing myself to not really develop in the ways that I should be developing. I think that many people, like I said, they try to find liberation through themselves, and the crazy thing is just that you're gonna understand yourself you're gonna really start to understand that you're really doing the opposite of yourself and really like bonding yourself down to these type of ideas and circumstances that whatever reality, like I said, or wherever environment you grew up in, that's where you are going to like stay in a way. Like everybody like has their own illusion. Everybody has their own personal matrix. Just own illusion matrix and prison that they stay in every day. And I think when you start to really understand that, you start to really understand people in a way where you don't try to. You have to start detaching in a way from people. Like with me, my own journey was starting to develop my own freedom or rock. Me personally, I'm at the point where I am like just crossing over like the threshold of like where freedom at. Like I'm almost there where I'm like, okay, I'm free of like everything. I'm attached to nothing. I have no fear, and I'm like fearless, and I'm just very just not careless in a way, but I'm just I have no fear. So I take on experiences as experience, and I don't have no emotional attachment to it. So it makes me feel any type of way. People or just the world, period, just through how you raise and stuff. That's how you bind yourself up. Well, you don't bind yourself up consciously or purposely. I mean, people say like, oh, your higher self made your life how it is made, and it's like, I mean, of course them, but like not you, as in like me. Like let's say my person, like I'm my avatar down here. I don't choose that type of stuff. So when you go through life, like me freeing myself up and starting to understand, like, damn, like everybody's bound by their own circumstances and just their own feelings and emotions, and that's what caused them to do the things that they do. You don't really get upset at people no more. Like I don't really get upset at people. I try my hardest not to at times, like I said, because at times, like I said, I'd be having good streaks, just not really putting a lot of energy into people. I'm learning to just being able to manage my energy better with people, because like I said, I have spiritual teachers and they tell me I'm very empathic. I didn't think I was for the longest time, but when I start to break down everything, and of course they can see me, like my energy bodies and stuff like that, they're like, oh, you are very empathic. I'm just very. So I had to learn how to start cutting off people in a way, not cutting off people, but like cutting off their energies to me so they wouldn't jog up my own energy in a way. And I've been doing this for a couple months now, and I'm finally start to get the hang of it. And in a way, it's healthy detachment. You got to understand that, like I said, everybody has something going on, and you cannot be, like I said, it's in a way it's like you're spreading yourself thin, like worrying about other people and caring about other people in their own circumstances more than you care about yourself in a way. In a way, I was killing myself doing that. I was just being drained and pulled by circumstances and people and whatever people thought about me, whatever my family thought about me, and it made me very fearful to even make moves in my own life. And in that regard, I was very bound up by my family or just outer, ideas and entities. I was just bound by them, and it left me very rigid. In many ways, I thought I was being free, but in many ways, I wasn't. And it was very depressing in a way. Like I said, I felt very lonely because I was very scared to commit to things. I was very scared to even just take a chance on my own life. And as a young man, that was like something I was having a hard time dealing with, because as I think that a lot of young men have this same issue too, with just trying to start their own life and just being able to stand on their own two feet and really start to make some of their life. And for the longest time, well, not for the longest time, because I'm only 20, going to 21, but it just, little rant, I just feel like I don't know, I feel young, but I feel old. I feel like a little kid, but it's like I literally jump between these two spectrums. I feel like I'm an old man, but I feel like a little kid. And maybe that's like, I think that's something that I always naturally had. I can't. It's hard for me not to be. It's hard for me to be pessimistic. I think at times I can be very melancholy or just optimistic. Like I said, there's a thin line between them two. We're just dealing with reality and just being realistic with what people give you. You can't really take people's word for anything realistically, because like I said, whatever somebody's action is, or just even like the laws of human nature, people, the law of preservation, trumps everything. I about to say, you can't really take people's words. Like I said, people gonna behave how they gonna behave, and you must be able to navigate through the madness. So I try to stay centered and just neutral, but of course I try to be optimistic and just being positive about things. I don't like being negative about things. But yeah, and it liberated me to a certain extent. Like internally, I wasn't like I like, now I have to catch myself when I think about just mundane things, just superficial things. Like, take for example something that I think a lot of people may feel some type of way about, is like, take like the gender war between men and women. It's like, it's crazy that I'm starting to catch that now, because it's just like, it's so draining to see the same thing on the internet and it's not leading to nothing. And me personally, it's just an energy drainer. There's no reason for people to just be arguing, just conversing about this, when realistically everybody know what the solution is, and stop blaming and just pointing out the finger, But yeah, I had to learn how to stop allowing like my ego to get attached to like those type of things, so it didn't pull like an emotional reaction out of me in a way. So I had to start detaching from like my emotions, and just a healthy detachment from my emotions, and in a way trying to make a separation between myself and just my my higher self in a way. But yeah, people are always everybody's bound by their own circumstances, so I think that's why I'm always very understanding of people. That's how I am. I don't fret or like try to get in people's business as much, but it's like, it's hard for me to, it's not hard for me. I'm a very analytical person, so I don't, like I said, I guess this is my superpower. I'm just automatically analytical to everything that's around me. So the longer something's around me, it's like I can't help it but like to start analyzing it. And it's very bad, but I'm learning to turn it off. I'm learning to be more forceful and be more aggressive with just who I am, right? At first, like I said, and I started with this, I'm trying to be more aggressive with my mind and thinking in very innovative ways to improve my own life. But yeah, liberating myself has like, it honestly took my life to like a next level in just my own personal spiritual journey. Like like I had to really like become very careless about what anybody could think about what I'm doing in my life, and I had to learn how to take a chance, and just take a chance in my own life, invest and try to do my best and trying to create something for myself, and getting over this fear of failure, because it seemed like I have like this big fear of failure. I think a lot of people have it. It's like a fear, not fear of failure, but it's fear of like succeeding. And I don't know if that's a certain syndrome. I think that's what it is, like imposter syndrome, like when people succeed and they feel like they don't deserve it. And I don't think I fear I'm gonna have that, but at the same time, I think it's just a lot of fear, just judgment, and a lot of just negative emotions. So yeah, in many ways, like with me growing up, with my detachment, or just me, like my little fake illusion of freedom, I was always unattached to people. Like I said, I was unattached to people just because of just my upbringing and just my environment I grew up in. I wasn't in the streets or nothing. I just grew up in a very just like dead household, and it's not in a way where it's like dead. It's just like, it's very a neglectful household where everybody's just in their own head, everybody in their own world, dealing with whatever they're doing with. So in many ways, a lot of people, I was always dealing with how I'm bring the family back together, and I was just dealing with my own personal things. So I didn't never want to invite nobody into my life, whether it was a girl or whether it was like some friends, like I said, because eventually I had to open up to them and tell them about what was going on eventually, just because they that's just what people do, and that's what you will want people to do if you got somebody close to you, right? But that was something that I just failed to do. I want somebody to open up to me, but I wouldn't want to open up to anybody just because of how much of a burden, how much of responsibility I take on of people that, like I said, that's around me. I would rather be like, you know, I look at myself as like, in a way, I feel like I'm a younger, bigger brother in a way to a lot of people. It's like I want to help people and I want to be there for people, but I don't really want nobody there for me. And growing up, like I said, nobody was there for me. So in a way, I have to relearn and reteach myself, and re-love myself, and be able to just get better at managing my energy and being able to just become fearless and reparent myself as well. Like, you gotta just, and just not even just myself now, but like younger aspects of myself, but just, you know, being able just to take the time and really understand, you know, why my life turned out the way it did, and that it's like, and that most of it wasn't my fault, you know. And that's just the crazy thing about life. And it's like, after you have a good understanding about what was going on and, you know, where you're going, I think that's when like freedom really start to kick in. And of course, being spiritually free, and just, I think that's one of the highest forms of freedom, just being spiritually free, where you don't really worry about all this mundane, superficial things that go on. But, you know, down here, you got to understand that you got to be able to maneuver through all the mundane things. So you, to a certain degree, like take people, like, just be like, you got to kill the ego, and you got to get rid of the ego and things like that. And people don't understand that to a certain extent, you need your ego down here to survive. If you didn't have it, you wouldn't be here. And for the longest time, I had to get that, because for a long time I was like, oh, I need to kill the ego too. But then you start to understand, like, when you start to get a greater understanding of what life is, it's like, oh, well, everything starts to make sense of why, like, everything plays a role, and you need to have everything, but everything just needs to be aligned, and everything needs to be on, you know, one accord. Yeah. But yeah, if y'all like the video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Thank you.